Hey everybody, welcome back to the Creepy Cascadia podcast. As always, I am Sammy, along with my smoking hot husband Adam.
Hey, welcome.
Yes, welcome if this is your first time listening, and welcome back to those of you who have been listening. So if you're new, we hope you like it. If you're not new, thanks for following along, because, it takes a special kind of person to keep listening to this podcast.
Yeah,
Now that we're on episode 27 already.
that's a lot.
That is a lot. And that doesn't include like our two-parters either.
It doesn't?
Mm-mm. We have 27 episodes.
I would think that would count the two-parters.
No. So we
You
got
mean we're probably closer to like 30 then?
probably closer to 30, yeah.
Oh, snap.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
We didn't celebrate the 25 at all.
We'll do it when we have 50.
Okay. 50 total or 50 numbered?
50 numbered.
Okay.
So we are switching things up a little bit today. We're doing an Adam-centric avenue.
Yeah, we did this before.
An Adam-centric episode. Where the fuck did avenue come from? We're gonna rock on to Adam Avenue. That song always reminds me of what's the movie with Seth Rogen? Pineapple Express.
Pineapple Express.
Yeah. Okay. When he's like, we're gonna rock on to Electric Avenue. When he's like smoking the weed in his car and the people in the car next to him are also listening to the same song.
Okay.
Yeah. This reminds me of.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Adam did the research today and he's going to tell me a story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are you talking about today?
We are talking about some unsolved deaths in South Dakota. So
state itself, huh? Just the whole state of Dakota.
Well,
South
I have
Dakota.
stuff written to lead in.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
So it's kind of like I didn't want to jump right into.
All right, I won't fuck it up. So how's your week been going, babe? We're recording on a Friday, which is odd for us.
Yeah, it feels odd for one.
We got a belly full of Red Robin.
Yeah, super stuffed. So.
Super stuffed. They literally were like, it was
basket of fries.
Yeah, like Oprah was giving out fries at Red Robin tonight. Like, who? You want fries? You want fries? Everybody gets fries.
You did not tell me what was happening behind me.
Oh, okay. So there was I was trying to figure out what the dynamic was because it looked like two couples.
Okay.
But like the females of the couples looked very much older than the males. So I was trying to figure out if there was like moms with their sons or like cougars out with their little boy toys for the Red Robin special.
Taking them to Red Robin.
Uh-huh. I mean, I love Red Robin. I was the one that suggested it. Because I wanted fries and ranch.
Yeah. Probably some, used to call them Jodies in the Army, some people whose, like, husbands are away.
Oh.
Out there trying to get it with them young soldiers who don't care,
Oof.
Yeah.
I feel like I saw that on Jarhead.
That did have, well, on Jarhead, yeah, it was the wife sends a video and it's like having sex with somebody else is like how she like breaks up with him or something.
Because it was on like the Deer Hunter or something. I remember the video was the Deer Hunter. No, Jake Gyllenhaal's girlfriend like broke up with him.
Yeah.
And they called her like a Jody or something.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I watched that movie.
Yeah, they were all like, she's just a Jody. She's already been cheating on you, everything. Yeah. Yeah. It's a thing.
Being in the military and being in a relationship seems very hard.
Oh, yeah.
From what I've seen and heard.
Yeah.
Because I had friends in the military.
Yeah.
And then you were in the military. I bet you were getting all that kind of like
strange. I was doing like, I wasn't in the military.
You also weren't married, so it's fine if you did.
Right. Well, there's anything wrong with that.
No. I mean, don't cheat. Like.
Yeah.
But if you're single, wrap your salami and go to town.
Yeah, I was a chapel assistant, and so
whatever
marriage retreats were like people needed help.
You know what? I tell everybody that. So people when they're like, "How long have you been married?" or whatever, like anytime I talk about you, they're like, "I love listening to you talk about Adam because it's just you guys are like so in love." You're not like some people are like always complaining about their spouses or just like kind of giving them a hard time or whatever, but they're like, You just
Yeah.
get so, you're like so happy when you talk about him. And I'm like, I swear, Adam is like, Adam has made me a better communicator because I've had to be because he's so good at communicating. And I swear to God, it's because he was single going to all these marriage counseling retreats in the army.
Probably was.
And you're
Probably
actually,
was.
you're just very,
I picked up a
very
lot of tricks. Communication was like
tricks.
number one.
Yeah. I
Like
mean, that's
communication is
fair.
very important. Very,
Yeah.
very important.
But you're very, I don't even know what the word would be. I mean, besides awesome. You're awesome. But, you're like, I always
you can
am like,
edit a good word in later.
Adam is the best communicator. Like, that's what I always tell everybody. Like, you are so much better at communicating than I am. And I think that's also because, like, you know.
Stop.
No,
Stop.
I'm not doing it to embarrass you. I'm literally saying, like, you have made me a better communicator because you are good at communicating and, like, you understand the importance of it. Whereas, like, my MO has always been, like, shut down, process, and then revisit, you know? But sometimes, I mean, I do sometimes still need, like, hey, I need a minute to, like, process my feelings right now because I'm not good at that. Shout out to childhood trauma.
Shout.
Shout.
Let it all out.
Give him a shout.
Yep.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
So there's my,
There's a nice little intro about...
Yeah. Communication is key in marriage. Who knew?
Yeah. I talked you up quite a bit today.
Oh, God, why?
Just, you know. No, yeah, it was, I think we had donuts and then, Jimmy John's. And
you guys had donuts
I was like,
today?
Yeah.
What for? Just because? It's Friday?
Yeah, that's why I didn't eat my bagel. No.
Oh, that's why you threw your bagel at me in the car earlier.
No, I was just tossing it into the car. I didn't throw it at you. Didn't hit you.
I mean, just because you're
you're
a shitty throw doesn't mean the intent wasn't there.
I'm not a shitty thrower. Like, B, if I wanted to hit you, I would have hit you.
Struck a nerve, sucker.
The last 2 days have just been raw nerves for me, too. It's terrible.
You know what's funny, though? If I hadn't been trying to hit you, I would have, because I am that shitty of a thrower. I spit. So, like, when I try not to hit you is when I do, but if I try, it's like, where are you even aiming?
Couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
Nope, pretty much. 100%.
Yep.
Yeah. So we have a guy in our office.
Don't get too comfortable. You gotta still participate in the podcast.
I'm going to. I'm chilling.
Okay.
So yeah, we have a guy that he always brings in donuts. Like, so I always know when he's in because I'm like, oh, we brought in donuts from that donut shop that we always go, like, that we will go to usually.
Yeah.
And the other day, I was like, oh shit, I didn't even know you were in. And he's like, oh, did you need me? And I'm like, well, no. I was like, I usually can guess when you're in because there's donuts. And he's like, yeah, I didn't have time this morning. And I'm like, you don't need to bring us donuts all the time when you come in. He's like, it's more for me.
He's like, now I know how to ninja around the office.
Pretty much, if you wanna come in on the DL, don't bring in donuts.
Yeah.
And then there was like one day that I thought it was like I had telecommuted the day before and there were donuts and I was like, oh, he must have been in yesterday. And they're like, oh no, why? I was like, well, there's donuts. And then he literally came in that day with donuts and I was like, donuts 2 days in a row? What?
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't there for the first day, but I got fresh donuts the second day.
Well, that's good. Yeah, fresh donuts are amazing.
Yeah, I could go for a good maple bar or a chocolate long john.
Yeah.
We should find donuts tomorrow when we're on the road.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did
donuts and coffee.
I did like a white, like vanilla glazed regular donut with sprinkles. Right?
Okay.
White glazed with sprinkles.
Okay.
And then after lunch, Ryan took like the I think it was supposed to be a maple bar or chocolate bar. It's questionable on which one it was.
Okay.
You know.
I like it when they mix the two. Like, they put the chocolate on the maple bar.
Oh.
Fuck yeah. That's like, whew.
Yeah.
Fuck me up, fam.
Yeah.
Sorry. So Ryan took what?
So Ryan, like, cut the Long John in half. And so it was half a donut. And I was like, meh, I'll take it. Did
he cut it lengthwise or in half? Hot dog or hamburger style?
Hot dog style. Only weirdos would cut hamburger style. Only weirdos would cut hot dog style.
I'm like, wait a minute. Am I the one that's weird?
Did I say hot dog style?
You did.
Yeah, no.
Can you imagine somebody cutting like a donut like that, like lengthwise? That'd be so weird.
Yeah, like you're cutting through so much more donut than if you went the other way,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
That's what makes it weird.
And it's just weird to think about. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I made myself uncomfortable
You
with that.
expose more of the innards.
Yeah.
And now people are eating like really thin donuts.
Yeah, that are like dried out on half one side.
We were talking, Sirac talked about how he ate a whole box of Krispy Kremes when he was younger.
Oh, shit.
And he was like, we're like, this is why you have a sugar craving now. He's been eating oatmeal cream pies with his lunch every day.
Yum.
And he's like, I need some sugar. He's like, I've been craving sugar. He's like, my body craves it. I gotta feed the monster.
I need a little something sweet. I feel like that's us after every meal. Need a little something sweet.
Oh man,
You and I both
have
have
so many goodies at work. It's
you and I have
ridiculous.
Big sweet tooths.
Yeah.
Like we both have sweet tooths.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I have a friend. Yeah, my friend Amanda.
Remember, we're not gonna eat that ice cream.
No. Yeah.
Your friend Amanda.
She's always. I always like would get so irritated because she's always been like super thin, like can kind of eat even after she had kids. Like she's still thin, like super thin and whatnot. She fucking ate like she had the biggest sweet tooth. She still does, and I'm like, how though? Like that's not fair. Well, I want to eat all the candy too.
I think a lot of it's genetics. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
She work out. She got kids.
She's got kids, so she's busy all the time.
Yeah. Okay, so since we're switching up a bit for today's episode, I want to share another slice of my home state, South Dakota. The best Dakota. What? Why does that make you laugh? Rivalry is the thing.
I don't know. It's so funny to me to have like a rivalry with another state.
You can't tell me Washington and Oregon don't have like a rivalry.
Washington and Oregon are cool. We legalized weed, so we're all chill here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever.
I mean, I'm not that I know of, but I'm pretty laid back and cool, so even if there was one, I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Because I'm like above that.
I have a feeling it's because you grew up in a very rural town that like you're just not aware of the larger rivalries of the states.
A, hurtful. B,
true.
Probably true.
Probably true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So now that we've just drove all the nails into this. Before we get into today's episode, I got a question for you, babe. Do you think there's any specific demographic or type of people that make up the most common victims of serial killers? Because I feel like the typical serial killer is a white male, and the victims are almost always female. I know that's not always the case, but I would say that those are the most common. What are your thoughts?
Sadly, I do agree with like white males are typically the demographics of serial killers. I think
there are exceptions for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
But
and I also think that I wouldn't specifically say women, but I would say what do they call them? It's people of, for lack of a better term, people of lesser status. So homeless people, sex workers, people that struggle with addictions, people that are maybe down on their luck a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like serial killers tend to target people who they think won't be missed, which would be people that are, maybe estranged from their families because of addiction issues, homelessness, again, like I said, what have you. Yeah. I think that plays a big factor in it. Now, I will say, like, sex workers is typically what I think of when I think of serial killers.
Yeah.
But
I mean, because like some of the more notable, Bundy killed women only.
Yeah, so he targeted women that looked like his ex-girlfriend that rejected him.
Okay. Green River Killer was women.
Sex workers, yep.
Sex workers.
Jerry Brudos.
Yeah.
He had a specific type of woman that he looked for.
Yeah.
But
the dude with the foot thinking of like Mindhunter.
That is, Jerry Budos,
yeah, okay,
the one with that jerked off with the high heel.
Yeah. Okay. But I mean, Dahmer was men for the most part.
Yep, he killed. But again, I think his demographic was also like not under like the lesser. So there's this big like.
Part of it was homosexuals, right? I mean,
it was gay males.
He was luring in gay men,
right? There have been times, especially past, where, for example, Jeffrey Dahmer got away with it for so long because in the mind of the police, they didn't really care. Like, they didn't want to get into it because it was a gay man killing a gay man, gay men.
Yeah.
So they're like less than.
Okay.
Which is the demographic that I feel like these people target, and also it helps you fly under the radar too. Like, people like that go missing all the time,
right?
For whatever reason.
Yeah.
So.
That's a real good point. I actually like that, and that will probably, when I tell you the story, it will seem very familiar. I'll say. I mean, I will make one note. The female serial killer, didn't she kill guys?
Eileen Wuornos, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, she killed males.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I wanted your take on it. I know you're pretty much an expert on all that stuff. So.
Not an expert. I just play one on the podcast.
So I think that's real good points. And yeah, when we talk about today's episode, I am gonna kind of end it on like talking about kind of forgotten issue or a less than type issue.
Which, to be clear, right? That is not how we view people. But police in the past, police have viewed people like that as less than, like they just weren't as important, or which is awful because anybody can hit a low point where they're struggling, and
right.
Doesn't make you a bad person overall. It just means that you're going through a harder time.
Well, yeah, it's in my mind the law is supposed to be blind. Like, the whole point of that is so it doesn't see race, it doesn't see rich, poor. It's like you're supposed to be equal under the law.
Well, as we've seen, certain human lives do not matter in certain people's eyes unless you're a fetus or,
Yeah, not getting into that. Let's not talk about the rulings today about the drugs, the abortion pill.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh, you didn't see that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we probably shouldn't get into it.
I'll tell you after.
Okay, we'll talk about it. You probably shouldn't tell me after because I'm already annoyed now because I'm sure it wasn't good.
All right, so today's episode takes us to the western side of the state, to the second most populous city in the state. We're going to call it a city, okay? It's called Rapid City. We're going to call it a city.
Okay. There's an airport there.
There's an airport there, but it's like under 100,000 people.
That's big.
So some people would call it a town, okay?
Yeah, what is the difference between a city and a town? Is it population?
I have always thought, like population, like city equals metro area.
Okay.
So like Twin Cities is like Minneapolis, like that's a city. Mm-hmm. Sioux Falls still comes in like I think under 200,000 or like under 250,000. You know what I mean? Like
those sound massive.
Like. So yeah, what makes up a town or a city? Rural where you grew up. Like what do they call that?
I mean, technically, it's like the city of Raymond.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they call things like towns anymore, really, or ville.
Oakville. There's an Oakville, Washington.
Well, I know there's an Oakville, or I mean, I understand that ville is part of the name, but it's like like village. Village. I would say village is smaller than a town. If you went back in history.
Okay.
Village is smaller than a town. Towner is smaller than a city, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like New York City. That's a city.
A city so nice, they named it twice.
Yeah. Cracking yourself up.
That's The Office.
Okay. It's Rapid City.
Okay.
Rapid City. It lies near the Black Hills. The Black Hills, which contain various breathtaking sites, landmarks. Mount Rushmore. Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of caves. Wind Cave, Jewel Cave. You have the Crazy Horse Monument. Like they're building that now, like blasting it out of the mountain, like similar to how they did Mount Rushmore,
which we saw on our road trip
we
through the
saw on a road
Midwest
trip. Yep.
and Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. We didn't go to any caves.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
You know what? And I'm fine with that because,
Yeah.
like I've said a million times, not a fan of caves after
Yeah.
watching The Descent.
Yeah.
And if you guys haven't watched that movie, I don't know why I said it so weird. Movie. The Descent is one of the few horror movies that actually like made me uncomfortable.
Oh.
Because
like moist down there.
No, I'm not horny for horror. Okay. Not all horror.
That one is. Yeah.
That one is like it's freaky.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because I like grew up in an area that's rural, that like you're out in the woods and stuff like that. Like makes me a little nervous because cave people.
Yeah.
They real. Yeah. Have you watched that?
No, I don't think I have.
Oh, I should make you.
Why would you make me watch it if it freaked you out so much?
Because it's a good one.
I
mean, it's a good one.
I get freaked out by other stuff. I don't need to be scared of that thing.
Because I want to watch it again, but I don't want to watch it by myself.
Well, I don't want to watch it with you. So
rude.
Yeah.
We still need to watch The Crow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So yeah, caves. I'm okay that we didn't go into any caves.
Yeah, Needles Highway is an interesting drive. It's like rock spires that are like go like almost straight up, so they call it Needles.
What was the one? Is it like Devil's Tower or something?
Devil's Tower is in Wyoming, I believe. And we passed.
We drove past it.
You could see it off in the distance.
Yeah.
As we went down I-90 towards to the Black Hills.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like you're on the. You can see the Black Hills kind of in front of you, and Devil's Tower is off to the left.
Yep. Okay.
Quite a ways, like.
That's why we didn't go to it, because it was like a few hours.
It was like a solid hour out of the way. I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
Yeah. All right.
But it looks so close.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like Vegas. We can just walk there. It's really close.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
You do not want to walk there.
Fuck no.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So today's episode centers around Rapid Creek, which is funny, It's not a river, it's a creek, and it runs through the middle of Rapid City. Like it snakes its way like through Rapid City. Like Rapid City is spread out, right? So here's another thing. It's towns in South Dakota are like really spread out, for the most part. Like you have all the plains, you can grow outward all you want, So Rapid City is fairly spread out. The creek starts, I think, by the hills, and then it runs like it eventually runs into the Cheyenne River, and then it runs into I think the Missouri or the Mississippi.
So like, okay,
Missouri runs through Pierce, so I want to say it's the Missouri, because Mississippi's like all the way. The Mississippi runs through, I think, like Minnesota.
Okay.
So I think you have to. I think it runs into the Missouri.
So like, in my mind, a creek is like a small body of water. Body of water, right? Like I think I liken a creek to like a stream.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming this is not like, when you said it's not a river, but it's should
not
be,
a river,
but it's like bigger than because to me a creek is not very big.
The pictures I've seen of this look like 20 feet across, maybe.
Okay.
Like, yeah, it's like
that's decent.
There's bridges and stuff over it.
Yeah.
And part of the problem is it floods.
Oh.
So like it's a small creek normally,
but it gets bigger.
But it floods quite a bit.
Probably with like
times.
Snow melt and stuff like that.
Yep.
Rain.
Snow melt, the big rains. It rains a lot, like,
Yeah.
Think about how much it like in Raymond when it floods, Like,
yeah.
Think similarly.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, I've probably driven over it going through Rapid City, but never really paid much attention, right?
It's not a breathtaking creek.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think what I saw on Wikipedia was like, they've turned the area around it, like, because it floods, nobody builds near it.
Fair.
So what they do is they have parks and like bike paths and stuff.
Okay.
So they've turned it into like, hey, like if it floods,
don't put a house here, but
don't
come visit when it's not flooding.
Yes, exactly. So in May 1998.
Okay.
Benjamin Long Wolf, that's his name.
Okay.
He's 36. homeless, and living under the 6th Street Bridge.
Long Wolf. Can I interject?
Sure.
Native American?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sounds like, I mean, that's a very, I wish I had a cool last, I mean, we do have a cool last name, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say, yeah, it's kind of, it stands out like Native American last names tend to.
Right.
Kind of, you know.
Yeah.
We're gonna hear some more for sure.
I won't interrupt again, I promise.
You know, no, it's fine.
Not about last names, at least.
Yeah, last names are perfectly fine. Yeah.
Okay.
So Benjamin Long Wolf, 36, homeless, living under the 6th Street Bridge.
Okay.
I had trouble finding pictures of the bridge. It looks like maybe they've redone it and stuff.
Okay.
But something to get out of the rain.
Yeah.
Like it's along the creek bed. I think like one picture I saw, I think had like a bike path, so the bike path goes under the bridge too.
Okay.
So he went to sleep one night, and the creek flooded like it does from time to time.
Like a flash flood?
Yeah, kind of like a quick
Okay.
flash flood. Like he went to bed. He fell asleep on dry land, and never woke up.
Oh.
They found him still sitting half upright underwater.
What?
Yeah. He had drowned in his sleep.
But he was sitting upright?
He was sitting upright.
Okay.
So, like, yeah, I kind of imagine, like, think, like, under the bridge, like, up against either a pillar.
Yeah.
Or maybe the full, like, where the earth meets the bridge, kind of the edges of the bridge is what I imagine. But yeah, but they found him dead, still sitting upright, or at least half upright, so maybe he had,
Like the water had, like, gone over his head and then gone back down?
Maybe a little bit, yeah. Because I don't think they found him, like, submerged. It's not like a diver went down there,
Yeah.
I think it was, like, yeah.
Okay.
But definitely had, like, gone down some. Yeah, he had drowned in his sleep. An autopsy showed that his blood alcohol was super high. Okay.
Okay.
And they listed that as the most likely cause of how he could drown in his sleep is he was very, very drunk. So he just slept through the water.
Did they
rising on him?
Did you look at the autopsy, or does it say anything else about the autopsy report?
No, the only thing I saw,
Was
an article said, an autopsy said, yeah.
Okay.
Sadly, very little information on this.
I was going to ask if they found water in his lungs, because
right.
that would indicate if he was dead
I think
at
they
the
did.
time. Okay.
I think they did,
okay.
Yeah, because they did say that he drowned.
Okay, so that's fair.
So the listing of his death was he drowned, but his blood alcohol was super high. So they might have also called it alcohol poisoning too.
I'm sus of this already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just gonna put that out there.
No, that's fine, right? Like it's really weird, right? Like to like fall asleep, even if you're drunk, and like have water like rise up on you. You know what I mean? Like,
and not.
Have you ever been camping? Have you ever been camping and had like water come in the tent or anything like that, and been like?
I mean, I've been in a tent that it rained on and leaked a little, but nothing like water like flooded my tent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a leaky tent in my mind, I hate it. I hate any little drip of water hitting me, like,
You obviously did not grow up camping in the Pacific Northwest, sir.
Yeah, I grew up in South Dakota not camping. That's how I grew up.
I know. I remember your mom when I think I told you your mom, like, oh yeah, Adam's going to come camping with our family because, like, our family does a big camping trip every year. And she's like, you know what kind of camping I like to do? Motels. And I was like, okay. She is not a camper.
We bought a tent when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
We put it up in the front yard. And we did not make it halfway through the night before, like, me and probably my little brother were like, I go outside, like, I don't like it out here. It's like, the ground's hard, I mean, just like, think of little,
yeah.
I seem to remember, I want to say Jack liked it, my older brother. I want to say my older brother liked it.
Mm-hmm.
And wanted to stay out there. Mm-hmm. And so I think one of my parents, like, tried to kind of stay out there with him. But
it wasn't your mom.
Yeah, I have a feeling it was probably my dad and my brother out there, and then my mom probably came inside with, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, like, because they were like, quiet down, we're not going to go inside, like, we're not going to let you guys just go inside, one of those, so.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was going to rain or if, like, I don't think we would camp for the first time if it was, like, thunderstorming, you know
No,
what I
I
mean?
mean, yeah, that's just
Yeah.
asking for trouble.
It's
So,
just, it's just, there's a lot of noises outside that you don't
yeah,
realize when you're inside a house.
true.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, like I remember camping as a kid. There was a few camping trips. They never really ended well. So like my fun camping started happening when I was like in junior high when my dad stopped going.
Okay.
Not that we went a lot, but we started doing these like big like camping trips with like my mom's side of the family. So my
Yeah.
aunts, my grandparents, cousins, like you've been, there's a ton of us that go, and
Yeah.
it turned into like a week long like vacation trip where everybody would go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's different than it was back when I was like in high school, and I
Yeah.
think I want to say it was like junior high maybe when we started doing that. Um,
And when you
but
said, when you were like, oh, it got really fun, and I was waiting for the, like, when I turned 21, and we got to, like, have some
no,
drinks sitting around the campfire.
no, we still have to hide our drinks because my grandma does not like drinking. So if anybody's drinking, we have to like be sly about
Right.
it. But it was like me and my mom and my like I think one of my sisters came a few times. Towards because they
Yeah.
were when I was like in junior high and high school, my
Yeah.
sisters had moved out and got like married,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so for like a few years it was just me and my mom,
Yeah.
and it was just so much fun because like being out, like I like the sound of nature at night.
Okay.
Also, I've never slept outside in South Dakota in the middle of the night, but like here in Washington I feel like it's very relaxing, like you know
Well, there's, like, way more trees and more wildlife here, I feel like, than you get in South Dakota, so.
yeah, but it's like the trees also act as like a buffer a little bit,
Uh,
you know.
mm,
I just and I like sleeping with the window and like letting the fresh air and the
yeah.
sounds in. It's soothing to me.
Yeah.
Nature just refreshes me.
Yeah.
But fun fact, before I let you get back to your story,
Okay.
they say everybody should go camping. Like I remember reading an article a long time ago that like everybody should go something like camping every year where like you go out into nature where your cell phone doesn't work, alarm clocks don't work, yada yada yada,
Yeah.
because it helps reset your internal clock.
Mm.
Yeah.
I like my internal clock where it is.
I mean, I do love camping, but I know you're not the biggest fan, but you're a good sport about it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all good.
Yeah.
I prefer glamping, kind of like my mom. Love them hotels.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah. So you're already sus of this.
I am sus
Benjamin
of this.
Longwolf dies in his sleep.
It's
Drowns under a bridge.
It's the sitting up thing
yeah.
is
very,
real.
Very odd.
Very, I don't like it.
Okay.
Okay.
So unfortunately, his death did not garner too much attention. Alcoholism and homelessness happen way too often for Native Americans in South Dakota.
Fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reservations, see, I think we have reservations here too, right? So when I say like reservations, you have maybe at least a little idea of what I'm gonna say here.
Yeah, like we have Shoalwater
Okay.
is the Shoalwater tribe down in like Tokeland. I don't know if I ever heard it called a reservation, but I know it's like tribal land. I've heard people talk about like
maybe people call it tribal land.
Tribal land, reservation.
Versus,
I feel like they might be interchangeable. Again, I don't know. I should ask my coworker whose husband is native.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah. So in South Dakota, the reservations are not known for their wealth and prosperity. They're actually some of like the poorest, like desolate, destitute areas.
Yeah.
So some are known for like purely for having casinos and being able to gamble because they're tribal land.
I was gonna say,
right?
like, I feel like that's where my mind was like, I feel like a lot of the casinos are on reservation or tribal land, but again, I didn't want to be like racist and like.
No, I don't think it is because I think it's just straight up like American, so United States gambling laws, for the most part, like it's outlawed.
Yeah.
Vegas being probably a massive exception, right? But yeah, I think for the most part, like if you think about the casinos around here, they're all like almost at the very least like named after Native
tribes.
Tribes, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. You do have like along the Mississippi riverboat. You know, like Emerald Queen Casino out here.
Yeah.
Sounds very much like a riverboat casino style is how I think of it.
That always makes me think of Maverick. That movie
Yeah.
Maverick.
Yeah. Exactly like Maverick.
Uh-huh.
Yep. Okay. So some are known for casinos. Sadly, others are known for tragedy.
Okay.
The Pine Ridge Reservation being the most famous in South Dakota, I'm going to say. Okay. Have you ever heard of...
Pine Ridge sounds familiar.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things related to Pine Ridge, okay? Have you heard of the Wounded Knee Massacre?
Yes.
Okay, right? So that happened in 1890.
Okay.
I got some history facts here for you.
Hit me.
So, yeah, so in 1890, the Wounded Knee Massacre, couple hundred men, women, children were killed by the U.S. Army's 7th Cavalry Regiment. Yeah, so I've got kind of a string of events here leading up to the Wounded Knee Massacre, but like that's like a big one.
Okay.
You know, like so that cavalry regiment is the same one that George Custer commanded.
Okay.
Okay, so Custer, we went through Custer State Park. Like they named a whole state park after him. And I think, like, I guess I'd always I had thought the Wounded Knee Massacre happened prior to Custer's last stand.
Okay.
But they did not. Okay, so Custer was killed in June 1876 at the Battle of Little Bighorn, or Custer's Last Stand.
Okay.
Maybe you've heard of that. We might have. I'm trying to think if we drove by like a marker or like a sign saying like Battle of Little Bighorn or Little Bighorn. It's in Wyoming.
Okay.
So it's not in South Dakota. It's in Wyoming, like just next door. Okay, but so Custer and his troops in June of 1876, they were taken out. You know, I mean, it was basically like kind of warring. You know, Americans were like, or white people were settling across the land, manifest destiny, all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and the Native Americans, we were taking over their land and stuff, all that, right? So, a Native American party led by Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse. Okay. In my mind, those are like the two most famous,
very well-known
Native Americans, for sure in South Dakota. Okay.
I know both of those.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I know the names.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Custer dies in 1876, right? All that stuff. Sitting Bull is this is years later. They've kind of like the white men still took over. Like they had treaties. They sent them out to like the reservation. Like this is when like reservations kind of started getting created. I mean, maybe even before that, but I was seeing on like Wikipedia, they kept calling them agencies. Like instead of reservations, I might call it like so Sitting Bull was at the Standing Rock Reservation at the time. I think they called it the Standing Rock Agency.
Okay.
And he was killed December 15th, 1890. Okay. So his people fled like he was their leader, and a lot of his people saw what was happening, and they fled the Standing Rock Reservation, and they made their way to Pine Ridge. Okay. And the U.S. Army 7th Cavalry followed them, like they were
chased them down, basically.
Yeah, so I'm not the biggest history buff on this, but like reading the Wikipedia stuff, like I'm definitely summarizing here, but it's like I'd say think of like two camps, like you know, moving across the state. Because Standing Rock is like northern. It's on the border of North Dakota, South Dakota. It's on the border of North Dakota and South Dakota.
Okay.
You know, closer to the center part of the state, actually. Okay. Pine Ridge is like southwestern-ish. Like it's east of the hills, but it's kind of almost near the Badlands.
Okay.
I want to say.
Okay.
I really hope I'm not messing up my geography.
South Dakota, I mean, I'm not going to correct you if you are. So.
I know you're not going to correct me, but my South Dakota peeps could definitely be like, you don't know jack shit. So, yes. So, the two parties, they eventually caught them near Pine Ridge at Wounded Knee, Wounded Knee was kind of it might have been like a town or a site, right?
Okay.
And on December 29th, so 14 days later, like Sitting Bull was killed December 15th. December 2019th is when the Wounded Knee massacre happened, and Wikipedia talked about it being like, oh, like a firefight, the Native Americans definitely had some guns, like the cavalry guys like went in and tried to like de-arm them and stuff, and basically like definitely shots were fired and all this stuff, but like the cavalry was just so much like out like it was half men, half women,
Yeah.
and then like kids, and they just killed them all, like all of them, like near indiscriminately, you know.
Yeah.
Which is just fucked up, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, so this is the history, of some of the things in South Dakota. The whole group wiped out, you know what I mean? Just a tragedy, right?
Absolute horrible.
Yeah, it's called a massacre. Like, I think I literally, as I was reading Wikipedia, like, they give out Medal of Honors for that, and like, yeah. So the army called it like a battle because they fired back a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's not a battle if you kill women and children, okay? It's a massacre.
And to reward that type of thing is disgusting.
Disgusting. And so later, probably like dang near a century later, right? Like I think the tribes have always said this was a massacre, like this is wrong, and like these should not be like military honored, you know. And I think they eventually got Congress to like do something or make some kind of statement saying, "Yep, this was a massacre. This shouldn't be marked as a victory.
This wasn't chivalrous in any sense of the word
at all."
No.
Yeah, at all.
Quick question.
Sure.
Do you know what tribe that was?
So this is where I'm going to be ignorant again. I think the primary tribes were Lakota or Sioux.
Okay.
In the area, I think there's also like later there's going to be like Ogala or Agala, like 2 G's, OGG.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Just curious.
Like, yeah, I could take a stab at it. I almost prefer not to.
That's
because
fine.
like I think I would get it wrong.
No, I was just wondering if you happened to know which tribe they were. Just because I was curious.
Yeah.
Yeah. No worries.
Again, like I was trying to get like dates and kind of like more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was definitely more focused on dates. Like I should pay attention to the people.
No, that's fine.
And like their groups, but
yeah.
I gotta. I don't know. It might be the South Dakota white man in me. That like I don't know. I probably just lump them in as Native Americans, but they're definitely separate tribes.
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
for
and,
sure.
And you know that because out here they're separate tribes too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah. I could be better about it. I'm sorry. I'll take that L.
Hey, maybe we look it up later and we can just post it on the post.
Okay.
On our socials.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Wounded Knee might also sound familiar.
Yeah.
Because it was the site of a standoff in the 1970s between the American Indian movement and the federal government. The American Indian movement took over the town of Wounded Knee. Like, they were kind of protesting, like, Native American treatment, all that type of stuff. And basically, like, the U.S. government, like, laid siege to these people. Like, people had to, like, steal in food, and like, they tried blocking all kinds of stuff. It was rather crazy. Like, if you think maybe the, like, occupation stuff that you might have heard about, I'm trying to think, like, I feel like when I hear about it nowadays, it's like white ranchers, who don't like the federal government, like that type of stuff. If you think about that, but like put it more in my mind, like it's like Native Americans who have obviously been treated very poorly.
Yeah.
Like kind of taking over. I think they took over like a post office, it's like, oh, they took over some federal buildings, in this town.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, to be fair, we stole their shit. They could steal it back. Like,
right. Yeah, I mean, they were definitely protesting, like, treaty, the treaties, all the breaking of the treaties and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But so it's kind of impressive. So from February 27th to May 8th in
Mm.
1973, Native Americans occupied the town of Wounded Knee. There were multiple firefights during that. Like it was interesting. Like 2 months. Like originally I was gonna say 2 months, but like when you see the dates, it actually spanned like it went. It's 2 full months and then a little bit into the adjoining.
Yeah.
It's into February to early May,
Mm-hmm.
right? Uh, Lots of multiple deaths, lots of serious injuries, like a U.S. Marshal. Like again, there were a lot less casualties on the federal government side than there were on the Native American side.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to diminish, or I don't want to diminish like what happened, the injuries on that side as well. Like
Yeah.
I did see that one federal marshal was like paralyzed from the waist down, but there were at least 2 people killed on the Native American side.
Okay.
Okay. But so yeah, so Wounded Knee, doubly famous. Like they kind of went there because of the massacre.
Oh yeah, it's like a very symbol or
symbolic,
there you go. Thank you. Symbolic. Jesus Christ, where the fuck's that come from?
problematic.
Yeah, very symbolic place to do that sort of thing.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
To stage a protest. I don't think they like had anybody kidnapped. I don't think any of that happened. Like they straight up like sent out people to talk, like spokespeople, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So all that to say, we could talk a lot about fighting between Native Americans and white settlers, federal government, all the manifest destiny stuff.
Oh, for sure.
I highlight these actions or these instances to basically show racism like in South Dakota still lives on like due to that bloody past.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Brookings, which is primarily white. Like we've got a few minority populations. You definitely have I think I could be wrong, but I always knew Flandreau. Flandreau is like the nearest reservation to us
Okay.
that I knew about. Again, they have a casino.
Okay.
We had other minority populations growing up too, right? But I definitely heard the slur "prairie N word."
You mentioned, yeah.
I don't know if you want to keep that in here, but I did want, it's like that word's been used against Native Americans in my lifetime. Okay, so so this racism, I guess what I want to show is like it exists in South Dakota, like it can exist. Okay, like it's not like there's definitely a divide between most Native Americans and the white people who've grown up in South Dakota and been like, this is my home, this is where I live, right? Like, this is all I've known.
Yeah.
Right. So I did want to talk about that. The story's not just about that. So this is where I'm going to pick up.
Okay.
So now we're going to go back to Benjamin Long Wolf. Okay.
Okay.
He wasn't the only one who died along Rapid Creek that summer. George Hatton, another Native American, I believe. Yes. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Hatton. I'm looking. Yes. Okay. George Hatton, another Native American, was found 10 days after Benjamin.
Only 10 days?
10 days.
Okay.
10 days. And then Alan Huff was found 5 days after George. So you had 3 bodies found in Rapid Creek in the span of 16 days.
Jesus.
Yeah. And the story doesn't stop there. Between May 1998 and July 1999, 8 men total.
So including George.
Including those 3.
Okay.
Would be found dead in the creek. 8 men total in the span of just a little over a year, 14 months.
Like, were they found close to each other, or was it just along the creek?
Yeah, the descriptions were just in the creek.
Okay.
Yeah, the descriptions were just in the creek. So, like I said, the creek spans the whole, almost, quite a bit of the city.
Yeah.
So, there were not enough facts related to these that people pinpointed. Like, we did have the information that Benjamin Long Wolf was under the 6th Street Bridge.
Okay.
So we do have that information.
Okay.
But that's almost it. Like, I really like very little information about this, as we're going to get to kind of later. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right. The other five, uh, we have their names, so we're going to name them. Hopefully, I don't massacre these too bad. Randell Two Crow.
Okay.
Lauren Two Bulls. Dirk Bartling. Arthur Chamberlain. And Timothy Bull Bear.
Okay.
Okay. Two were white.
Okay.
The others were Native American.
Okay.
So 6 Native American, 2 white guys. Most were homeless, sleeping underneath various bridges along Rapid Creek. Some were also alcoholics. 2 of the deaths were listed as alcohol poisoning as the official cause, not drowning.
Okay.
So the other 6 officially died of drowning.
Okay.
None of the bodies showed trauma. And investigators to this day don't have any physical evidence suggesting foul play. The cases have been reviewed by the Pennington County Sheriff's Office, the state's Department of Criminal Investigations, and even the FBI. Because it is so suspicious that they were like, do we have a serial killer on our hands?
Yeah.
Nothing pointing to murder was found. No suspects, no leads.
Okay.
Yeah. But this is suspicious, right?
Yeah, it feels bad. Like that many bodies in a similar manner.
Oh, and I even have okay, sorry, I shouldn't cut you off.
No, it's okay.
I actually have this is suspicious, right? Like after I give you one more bit of information.
Okay.
Okay. So the first 3 deaths happened in about 2 weeks, summer of '98. Okay. 8 men total, 14 months. You'd think they were spread out, right?
Uh-huh.
They were not. 3 deaths in 2 weeks in the summer of '98. 2 deaths in 2 days in December '98. And then 3 deaths in about a month in the summer of '99. This is suspicious, right?
Yeah.
Like, no evidence, no trauma, all the law enforcement doing their investigations. Can't find a single thing pointing to murder. But like what's your gut saying right now?
I feel like there's a connection. There has to be some type of connection.
Right?
Because it sounds like a dump site.
Yeah.
Or somebody targeting men that have substance abuse issues, getting them super fucking hammered, holding them underwater. It wouldn't take much because if they're super drunk or passed out, you put them in the water, they die. They wouldn't show any trauma. They wouldn't show, there wouldn't really probably, if police, and we know that this does sometimes happens because there are prejudices. Not all police are bad. We just know that sometimes, especially back in everybody's progressing as we go along as a society. Some are progressing. If they decided it looked like a drowning, there wasn't any signs of trauma or struggle, that's probably about as deep as they're going to look into it, right? So again, if somebody got these guys super fucking hammered, held them underwater, like I said, it wouldn't take you wouldn't have they wouldn't be struggling because they're drunk and they have substance abuse issues. It would be easy to do in my mind.
Yeah, it's kind of what I'm thinking too, right? And maybe the 2 bodies in 2 days in December could be from the same event. Like if it were like a flash flooding,
hypothermia,
drunk along the area,
yeah, for sure,
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I will give you the stat: the average drowning rate in Rapid Creek was about 1 per year.
So that number got totally fucked the summer of '98, '99.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
The chief deputy, I think his name is D. Glasgow.
Okay.
Or Day Glasgow. I thought it was a last name, an entire last name. But then later in the article, it just said Deputy Glasgow, and I was like, oh, the DE. It's literally DE as his first name.
Oh, okay.
So Chief Deputy D. Glasgow was the number 2 man in the Pennington County Sheriff's Office. He's the chief deputy.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not the sheriff, chief deputy. He knew most of the men from running the county's 57-bed detoxification center.
Okay.
Okay, so he knew a bunch of these guys, right? Like homeless, alcoholics. They'd get picked up or something and get run through the detox center, right? So
Mm-hmm.
he knew them. He made a comment in one of the articles noted that he thought it was weird that all of the bodies were found in the water. Not a single one was found along the banks. Like you would think if it was like drowning or something, it'd be
You'd
like
float to the.
time. Yeah, you'd drift to the banks, and then if the water receded or something, you'd be left on the bank. The water would be below you.
Yeah.
All of them were found in the water,
Hmm.
and he said that always bothered him. Was how the article characterized it.
Okay.
Right. So way more than the normal death rate happening. Um, yeah, like we said, like the two in December might be close enough that like one body was found one day and the next body was found like the next day or 2 days later.
For sure.
Could be from like the same flash flood event.
Yeah.
But again, it would be like, I again, Rapid City might be a slightly large place, but like, and I don't know the flow, but like, could a body float in this creek for 2 full days, or would it be like one in there the one day and one in there another? You know what I mean? Like
Well, right,
somebody
because
killing people,
I mean,
right?
creeks flow, so it's not like it's gonna stay in one place.
Yeah,
Huh. Okay.
yeah. And I mean, again, they didn't list like places. I don't have a map of like where they were found because again, like I don't necessarily know that they were attacking this like that kind of a problem.
Yeah.
So, um, people claim the death stopped after Native Americans started patrolling the creek at nights in the summer of '99. So the Native Americans were like, something's going on here. People are killing Native American men,
Mm-hmm.
even though they're homeless, even though they're alcoholic. Like, this needs to stop. And you had basically neighborhood watch. I couldn't come up with a fun pun centered around Native American name, to mix in with neighborhood watch. Um, but yeah, so they start patrolling, and all the deaths stop. Like, I mean, maybe you still have your one per year,
Yeah.
but like, you don't have, they don't find any more bodies that summer.
Hmm. Okay.
Now, I don't know if they were like kicking the homeless people out. I don't think they were doing that. I think they were patrolling, talking to them, and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think they were like clearing the banks of homeless or people
They
down
were just
there.
keeping an eye out.
They were just keeping an eye out because they thought something fishy was up. Okay.
Hmm. Okay.
All right. Some say so in summer '99. After the more, you had the 3 deaths last summer. You had a couple in December, and then again things started happening in the summer of '99.
Mm-hmm.
So the police went searching for evidence, like in mass, like send everyone. We're going to the river. We're gonna comb through this area. We're looking for clues. We're looking for anything, right? And that gained a lot of news attention in Rapid City, and it put the spotlight on Rapid Creek. So some people think that stopped it also, right?
Like the attention brought to it, you can't keep flying under the radar if people are actually noticing a
Yes.
pattern.
Yes.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I don't know how vocal or I would hope that the Native Americans patrolling the creek were like, I don't know, like making a public, like where they were at. They were very visible, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like if you're a serial killer, like you could avoid that. If you know where the patrols are,
Yeah.
you could just go where they're not, or wait for them to pass on through the area, right? Like that's possible too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know all the layouts. I don't know, if somebody could be watching, but basically once it started that they're saying they. So you had the police do a big search. You had Native Americans start patrolling the area. No more suspicious deaths.
Okay.
for, at least of this kind. From the few articles I could find about the string of deaths, all right, the local Native Americans that were interviewed are 100% sure that it was young white men. Part of that could be because around that same time there was a string of deaths in New Mexico where white teenagers were beating drunk or homeless Native Americans to death. Okay. And then the cases of these 8 men that died along the Rapid Creek are not categorized by law enforcement as unsolved deaths. They are not cold cases because the investigations and their reviews had no evidence to indicate that there was anything criminal happening here. No trauma. They didn't list it as murder, so like maybe some people reinvestigate every now and then, but really there's nothing there. Yeah. Is what they said, and they've also said like this was very thoroughly investigated. They're listed as drowning. Like all these things are like drowning or alcohol poisoning, not murder.
Okay.
Okay. That was in quotes. The unsolved they're not unsolved deaths. They didn't call them murders. They didn't call them cold cases. They are not unsolved deaths either. Okay. Again, if we get like, I mean, basically in my mind it says that like they're not looking anymore.
Right. That's what it says to me too.
Yeah.
If they have already classified them as closed, basically.
Yeah. Well, one trouble was like some people did claim to be eyewitnesses and said they saw things surrounding the events, but they were found to be pretty unreliable. Like they were, they were either like drunks themselves, homeless, like their stories would change. They didn't have very good specifics, So
again, like, an underrepresented population not being taken seriously by law enforcement.
Very true, very true. I mean, like, yeah, I think one article I saw said that they did have one description, and like when they tried to pass it around, like nobody else had seen that, So it was like, one person who was actually like, I saw like somebody who looked like this. Nobody else had seen that person.
Okay.
So most Native Americans definitely claim that law enforcement didn't do a good enough job investigating these cases. Okay. And to put a finer point on that, like I had trouble just finding information about these 8 deaths. There was one article written in 2000 that can be found on lots of major news sites. Like this one guy wrote one article, and it was on the LA Times website, the Washington Post website, HuffPost. Like this one article made up the first half of the first page of Google. Just multiple instances of the same article.
Okay.
Like, and I'm pretty sure I didn't have like, hey, show me redundant things. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, yeah, that was pretty. Like, I tried looking for like news reports on it. Like, I mean, it's the late '90s. There, we didn't have YouTube back then. People weren't putting stuff up on it. Like news channels probably really weren't using the internet all that much at that point.
Right.
So I kind of, I guess, I was a little frustrated with like
trying to research it.
Like this was an odd scenario. Like in my mind, like knowing us, like skeptical, suspicious of weird things like this. Like yeah, like I could believe it. Like serial killer, in my mind, young white man, college, because they happened in the summer, and then a couple of them happened in December,
which would be like winter break.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Now there's like a full college, like South Dakota School of Mines is out there in the hills. There's other universities for sure out there. I'm blanking on them. I know I had friends I think that went to a couple of them and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like this smacks of somebody like coming home for the summer, leaving, coming back for break, leaving. But like that's also a lot of killing for like coming back for 2 weeks home. Like unless you would have to have a lot of, I feel like, hate in your heart or What were you gonna say?
Unless there's like more than one person doing it, like they're all going out together and doing it.
Yeah, which was again the theory from the Native Americans was like this is like a group of young white men, able to overpower,
Mm-hmm.
uh, grown men, even though they're drunk, you know, and basically, yeah, like the idea being that they held them underwater, drowned them, and then just like float them down the river.
Yeah.
I think Benjamin Long stands out as the first one, or Benjamin Long Wolf.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I shouldn't shorten his last name. Benjamin Long Wolf stands out to me because like sitting upright, and and he was the first one
And then the other ones were found in the water.
in the water. Like one of them was literally found by like some guy was out fishing, and the body floated past him.
Jesus.
Like I think that yeah, I remember in an article. I can't remember which person that was, but that's how at least one of the bodies was found.
Mm.
And like the chief deputy said, like they were all found like in the water, like not along the banks, not up on the edges of the banks. I mean, the drowning, the drowning ones, obviously, I would think they would be in the water.
Right.
But again, this kind of goes to like yeah, so you drowned, now you're floating in the water. You don't end up on the sides of the banks. You don't make your way, or maybe they were found on the edges, but they were still in the water. It's like the alcohol poisoning. You would die from alcohol poisoning up on the bank if it was
Right.
just purely alcohol poisoning.
I would be super curious to see if they were able to establish any times of death. Like, how long have these people been in the water?
Yeah.
Were they just put in the water? Like,
Right.
December ones, I know that can be tricky because like decomp slows down in really, really cold water.
Yeah.
South Dakota, creek,
I would believe it was cold.
a creek in South Dakota in December would be very cold, so that could like fuck up a thing. But during the summer, like timeline, like they should be able to establish a time of death, and then, you know,
Yeah.
how long have they been in the water? How long have they been dead? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
be curious to see, but maybe they didn't even bother.
So yeah, I 100% agree. Like suspicious. Like you know, doesn't sit right. Um. So to kind of wrap it up. Yeah, I'll get to this thing and then let's hear your thoughts. Okay.
Okay.
Because I think you're gonna have some thoughts about this last little bit.
Well, I'm sure I will.
Okay. Um. So with the story, I want to highlight the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Peoples movement. This is the MMIP movement. It's indigenous persons include American Indians and Alaska Natives. Okay, there are lots of cases of murdered and missing indigenous people, primarily women and children. Uh, People think like again the marginalized. People don't feel like they miss them. Like I think I've seen it's like a problem up in Alaska,
Yeah.
which is why yeah it's included in there. It's not just Native American issue. It's like Alaska natives are as well are affected.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the you know I checked the South Dakota one article like linked to the South Dakota site where they track missing people,
Mm-hmm.
and there's 103 people on the list when I checked the other day. 103 currently missing people reported, and indigenous people account for 63 of those.
So
And
over
South,
half.
oh yeah, like that is 60%. 60% of the missing people in South Dakota, according to the state government right now, are indigenous people.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm pretty sure I saw that there was a fair amount of like uh, Latino, Hispanic
So
people on the
people,
list as well. So it's like, I bet if you boiled it down, like there's still white people, right?
but not that many.
But not that many for how much like white people are the majority in South Dakota.
Hmm.
Like white people probably make up like 80 to 90% of the population in South Dakota.
Okay.
So to give you an indicator that 60% of the missing people are indigenous, and like 80, we'll give them a nice little thing. We'll say 80% of the population is white,
Okay.
right? that's a pretty sad fact, I think.
Yeah.
Right. That is a staggeringly high number when you look at population by race. Yeah. So speaking of the missing people, missing and murdered Indigenous persons movement,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I did know a gal at our church here in Washington. Her twin sister was killed, and they're both Alaska Native. I've seen her
Mm.
post on Facebook about it.
Yeah.
Pretty sad. I mean, she's pretty young to have her twin sister killed.
Yeah.
You know, and I haven't seen too much like details,
Uh-huh.
but I do know that like when there's like days of remembrance or like the MMIP like
Mm-hmm.
marches and stuff, like her and her family are out with like she posts pictures where they're out with like pictures of her sister and stuff.
Yeah.
Being like we want justice. So so
Hmm.
what are your thoughts, babe? How does this hit you?
I mean, it's indicative of like a problem that still is persisting today, right? Like people of color, people that aren't white males in a lot of, I don't want to say a lot. I don't want to generalize.
Right.
It's still happening.
Yeah.
People of color are still being treated less than,
Yeah.
you know. Even women are sometimes, you know.
Yeah. I'd argue poor people too, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Right.
People that, struggle with addiction, people that are, below a certain poverty line,
Yeah.
in some circles they just don't matter, which is total bullshit.
Yeah.
And it's super frustrating that this happened in the 90s and it's still happening today. So like,
Yeah.
why haven't we gotten better?
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
um
Yeah. I mean, South Dakota's probably even less like um what do I say, accepting of like homeless. You know what I mean? Like Seattle.
mhm.
Oh man, people complain about seeing homeless people in Seattle, like, and that's like a large city.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you're probably gonna see some people. You know what I mean? But like to hear that there's like this number of like homeless, that it's common enough that like homeless people, hanging around. Like I guess I growing up, I had heard Rapid City could be kind of a definitely a rougher town,
Mhm. Yeah.
but maybe their words is talking about because it's like proximity to Pine Ridge Reservation, which is like I did see some stats where it's like one of the poorest. Like there's like less than I think the population I saw at Pine Ridge was like less than like 500 people.
Oh, so it's
Like
small.
yeah, like it's still like the same amount of land, but it's like
Mhm.
I don't know. They really made it seem like it's not like I almost wonder if it's like a dying. If they're like
Mhm.
dying out, like a dying population.
Yeah. Sorry.
My cousin Reed, he had from Pierre, he had a Native American friend.
Mhm.
Died fairly young.
Hmm.
I think he had. Again, I really hate speculating, but from what I remember, I thought he was a big drinker, and his death like
Yeah.
had to do something with health problems related to that.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
like the alcoholism doesn't help. You know,
Yeah.
any genetic conditions, right? Like if you're a big drinker,
Yeah.
it inflames like heart issues.
Well, I mean, like, that also can be a generational thing too, like the alcoholism and the substance abuse
Yeah,
issues. And if you have a population that other people are fine, just if there's not a lot of programs to help break that cycle,
yeah,
it's going to continue.
yeah,
Again, and that's the same with like, it's not necessarily just with like native people in this case, that's what we're talking about, but like,
yeah,
people that are in a lower tax bracket that have substance abuse problems, like some it feels like the government wants to keep them it's really hard to break out of that cycle,
Yeah.
and it's almost as if it's not important. Like people don't want other people to break out of that
Yeah.
type of thing. Now that's not to say, and again, I'm being very generalizing when I'm
Yeah.
saying this, but like how many times do we see lawmakers shoot down programs to fund things like rehabs, you know,
Yeah.
homeless shelters, things like that. They don't care. And so they're not going to put they don't want to give away money that they could give to billionaires for tax breaks and stuff like that. You know, why help your fellow man when you can help yourself?
Yeah.
Honestly. And that's not a Republican or a Democratic thing. That's just
Right. I think it's more symptomatic. I'm not going like full communist here, but I mean, like capitalism exploits people. Like
mhm.
it's make your money. Like it should be like everybody should get richer. Like I need you to work. I'm gonna pay you to work. You're earning money. You're doing.
Yeah.
Like but at the same time, like there is in my mind there's a large divide in it's that whole wealth inequality.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah, for sure.
and it's just like I, I don't even like I know there's racism, right? But like a lot of that, like there are basically just like there are certain groups that like have a longer road to get to that top
Oh,
to
for
get to the top of
sure.
the hill. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like the whole idea of like slavery, Jim Crow. Like black people have a much longer road to get to like wealth
Mhm.
than um than most white people. And
Yeah.
and that's that whole idea I think of privilege of like, it's like where did you start? Like did your parents own a home? Like if you have those questions, like
Yeah.
it's like did your parents own a home? Did your parents stay together? Did you have dual income? Did
Mhm.
or did your mom stay at home to save on childcare? I don't know.
Mm.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there are definitely some things wrong with our American culture, and I definitely believe one of them, a large one, is uh, like caring about people, like caring about your fellow man.
Yeah.
You know?
And I mean, I think I agree. And to add on to that, like the people that vehemently deny that there even is a problem
Yeah.
are part of the biggest, they're the biggest problem because they are actively working against trying to make it better.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, I definitely do not think that these were all accidental.
Yeah.
Um, I,
I didn't think you would.
I mean, I know I like to be suspicious and stuff, but like that just seems too easy to like, oh, they drowned. They were alcoholics. They drowned.
Yeah.
I don't I don't buy it. I think I totally buy into the theory that it was a group of, probably well, I like your I like your theory that it was college kids, that were coming in and doing this. Like maybe they were being assholes and they were like trying to initiate into a fucking fraternity or something. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
that'd be terrible. Yeah, but I mean,
worse things have happened,
yeah.
and I could see that being a thing.
Yeah.
I don't think it was an act. I don't think these are I don't think these are unrelated at all.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they were drownings, like accidental drownings
Yeah.
or alcohol poisoning.
Yeah.
Maybe alcohol poisoning. I don't think that these were I think somebody else played a hand in what happened,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could probably agree, right? Like, there's definitely people that blame like law enforcement here.
Yeah.
I mean, did they do enough? It's really hard to tell because, like you said, like if if you did if you did this right, like you wouldn't leave trace, you wouldn't leave evidence, and really the main uh the main evidence is the number and just the way that they
Yeah.
like the sheer number of bodies. Yeah. Like if you don't have physical evidence, like you still need to pay attention to like the statistical data of this many bodies when you're normally only getting one or two. This isn't this isn't like there was a flash flood in the 70s that killed a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I don't think this is that. Like they did talk about how the creek would like flood every now and then and stuff, but like
But wouldn't they have record of that?
they
Like,
would,
wouldn't?
yeah, like they would know when the creek flooded. Like you would be able to be like, oh, creek flooded. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think that goes back to the point of like they were all found in the water. If you were on the bank, you drowned. You would have to be carried. You'd have to be carried into the creek,
Mm-hmm.
like to then like uh like they were saying the odds of that happening, like if you were on the banks and it flooded, say you're asleep, take it back to the Benjamin Long Wolf
Mm-hmm.
scenario. You're lying in the grass, you're asleep, flood waters, you drown, now you're floating. Unless you moved back towards the like center of the creek, like as the waters receded, more than likely you would end up somewhere on the bank.
Right.
Like you might move closer to the creek, but you would still like the water would recede, and you would float and just land back on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Versus like still being in the water. And again, they would totally know if like the creek was flooded.
Yeah.
So
It's all very odd to me. There's too many coincidences for it to be. I,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't trust it. I don't like it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of why I talked about it.
Yeah.
All right. So we kind of talked about the reality aspect of this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna throw out like with like oceans, and you hear about like sirens and stuff like that. Like it. Do you think anything about like the creek is haunted? Do you think anything supernatural, weird? Like say you don't like it, and you were thinking the most likely cause is like a person or a group of
Mm-hmm.
people. Could there be a supernatural? Have you ever heard of anything like that? Like Dark Waters? Isn't that like a
That's a horror
creepy
movie. Yeah. Not
like
horror, but yeah, scary. Like a yeah.
yeah?
Um.
I thought it was still like a haunting, basically like a girl died in a bathtub type of a thing.
Oh
And so
yeah.
like the water it's like the bathtub floods, like I don't know, stuff like that, like from what I recall. But
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like I mean, there are certain monsters tied to water. You know?
Yeah. I would be curious as to like how far apart all these people were found, right?
Distance, like location wise,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, because I mean, the fact that they were all found in water, like in the water,
Yeah,
is odd to me.
yeah,
I agree with the guy that said that stood out to him because like
yeah,
were they like tied underwater and like but again forensics would be able to tell us that. Now again that also relies on them actually doing like a super thorough autopsy, whereas if they thought these people had drowned they're probably not going to be like going over everything with a fine-tooth comb,
yeah,
and the DNA or the evidence that we can pick up now is so much different than even from 1998, 99. I would be super curious, like I said, I would be super curious to see like the distance between where these people were found. Were they all found in the same spot? Were they all found, close together? Like,
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up about the locations because as you talked about that, I was like, so they're floating in the water. They're found floating in the water.
mm-hmm,
You have a rough flow of stream.
mm-hmm,
Like you should be able to roughly measure that. If you knew how long they had been dead, like you know what I mean, like the flow is downstream. So if they're in the water, you find them here. They were killed upstream.
science would tell you that should give you a rough estimate of where they
Yeah.
went into the water.
Yeah, when? Yeah, exactly. When and where did they go into the water?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have any of those details for you. Like nobody. It's not on the internet. It's not true. It's
It
not
doesn't
real.
exist if it's
It
not on
doesn't
the
exist if
internet.
it's not on the internet. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
maybe they have that information, but I doubt it.
Yeah, so it's a terrible case. I don't know. I just don't know. Because
You hate cliffhangers.
I
And this
do.
is so unresolved and just not even The fact that they're not even looking at it as a cold case and it's so suspicious to us.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, we want to hear your guys' thoughts. What do you guys think about this, you know, Adam's case? I think you did a great job of telling us the story.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, let us know what you guys think. As always, thank you guys for tuning in, and we we love to interact with everybody, so reach out to us on our socials. We have Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, which is just Creepy Cascadia Pod. You can also help us out by leaving us a 5-star rating or a review on whatever platform you're listening to us. That really helps out smaller shows like us kind of get on the map, so to speak. And we also have a website that you can check out, which is just creepycascadiapod.com. There's Winnie saying hello.
That would be Jax. Oh, wow.
Or, you can also send us an email if you don't want to interact with us on our socials. You can send us an email to admin@creepycascadiapod.com. You can suggest story topics for us to cover. If you've heard a wild true crime paranormal story that you would like to hear us cover, feel free to shoot us an email or reach out to us on TikTok or Facebook or Instagram. Yeah, give us we want to interact with you guys. We really are enjoying doing this, and we want to keep doing it. So talk to us. We love to talk. Obviously, we host the podcast.
Yep.
But with that, again, thank you, babe, for a great episode. And
you're welcome. It is pretty fun to kind of mix it up a little from time to time and have me do research. You work so hard on this podcast, babe. You do
oh, stop.
All the research, like literally if you're doing the talking and telling the story, you did the research, that's kind of how we break down.
Yeah.
So our listeners should know, you put so much effort into the research. You do all the editing, I'm just happy to be a part of your thing, babe.
You're just the eye candy.
Yeah.
But
put it back in your pants.
No, we're done. We can go play now.
Okay.
But yeah, we hope everybody has a great week, and we will be back next week with a new story to tantalize you guys.
Bye.
Bye.